Bracket play Saturday here at the 2022 Canadian Ultimate Championships. We're live from the VC Showcase Field in Brampton, Ontario. An exciting mixed quarterfinal matchup between the 19-seed Danger Noodle out of Ontario and the 12-seed Spawn out of New Brunswick. Theo Wan here with Clay Howlett, Tushar Singh, our producer. Clay, how you feeling right now? It all comes down to this day. Bracket play. This is what the teams are fighting for all year.
Love bracket play, being up here in the booth, and this is what we warm up for, these big games with a lot of adrenaline, a lot of anxiety that teams can have. I want to start right away. You said 19th seed Danger Noodle, completely upsetting their pool throughout the tournament so far. They are undefeated, taking out teams like TT, who are thought to be winning their own pool. So Danger Noodle not having a great regional showing, but showing up today and telling us before the game they wanted to make a statement. They were better. They were better than what we thought they were, and we have seen that so far. Spawn, on the other hand, bringing an army to this tournament. They played in the pre-quarter yesterday, defeating Lit to move on after they were the 3rd seed after their power pools. Theo, I'm pretty excited to see how these teams match up. They feel like they're pretty similar as the poll goes up.
Danger Noodle going left to right on your screen in the dark jerseys. Lamb has the disc, and we know Spawn going to come out in the zone looks as Huynh going to be a quarterback as a handler for this Danger Noodle squad.
Seeing a zone right off the bat. After we spoke to Spawn, that was sort of expected, but I feel like they would have kept that in their pocket a little bit longer.
Lee firing it through as they work it through this cup. Korneawan just outside the end zone.
Danger Noodle doing a good job of being patient. They worked up through the zone pretty quickly, but now as Spawn has melted to person, taking their time, looking for the easy shots.
Korneawan finds Gia, who toes the line for the score. Danger Noodle making that zone offense look pretty easy there, Clay.
Yeah, they did a good job to move the disc back and forth, left to right. I guess our close and away sides on the field here, but Danger Noodle did a really good job of moving that disc back and forth quickly, always making Spawn's zone half the run. Spawn perhaps starting on a deep point, just wanted to get a feel for how Danger Noodle would handle his zone. Not a bad strategy to have, see what they got. Danger Noodle telling us before the game too, they have a similar mindset. They want to see what the other team has got. So they've told us they're probably going to, talk a little quietly here, they're going to pressure under and make Spawn prove that they want to huck the disc today and kind of feel out what Spawn has to offer and if they're willing to go deep or if Danger Noodle can kind of compress their offense into high traffic areas and force some janky turnovers.
For Spawn in the white jerseys, we get a chance to look at their offensive line. We know they have some talent that's been homegrown, a lot of their talent homegrown. One of the challenges of a program in a smaller community is players leaving. We've been told a lot of teams they've played have Spawn alumni. For example, Union Ronsu, having played for Spawn for a few years. So they get to see the fruits of their labor. They're hoping, of course, to keep them in-house in Fredericton, playing for this squad as they get out on offensive line.
Spawn with a seemingly horizontal offense right now. Danger Noodle electing to go person defense.
Just center of the field for Spawn as they're trying to move forward here, just past half or on the half line. Frampton gets a cutting chasse. Chasse going deep and knocked away. Dawes making the play.
So break chance here. Danger Noodle warming up very early today, getting to the field at 7 o'clock, an hour-half warm-up. We were watching their warm-up. They had the music going, a lot of intensity. They definitely want to carry that momentum into this first break chance.
Jang going to go right away to Dawes, who made the block. Lots of players in the area. Dawes going to come down with it. And they're knocking on the door of a break here. Chili calls as Lem retains the disc for Danger Noodle. Going to have to be patient here if they want to cash in this break.
Absolutely. Danger Noodle falling right into their vertical end zone set.
Lay, the lefty handler, going around to Jang.
Seeing a lot of patience.
They're very composed for a team that's in their first year of existence as well. We'll talk a little bit about their story later on in this game, but this team having never played a CUC before as a foul is called. McMacken on the mark there, one of the captains of Spawn.
Stall count's going to come in on 1, so lots of time here.
Jang going up the line. Lim coming for a reset, and it was blocked and scooped up by Spawn, so they'll get the turn back. An offensive point for them right now. Huck going up. It's a low throw, but it's going to be caught in the end zone. Spawn does get the hold on the second attempt.
A huge hold for Spawn there. A big defensive block on the thrower by Spawn. Theo, I really felt listening to the body language and hearing all the cheering from Danger Noodle. I was almost a little bit worried for Spawn after that turnover happened because I felt if they got broken there, the mental swing, big run opportunity for Danger Noodle if they had scored that break, because right now I'm feeling a lot of intense hype energy coming from this team in the dark shirts while Spawn is cool, calm, collected, and has the game plan. Perhaps that's just how they roll. I guess we'll see as the game continues, but an important hold to kind of keep the lid on Danger Noodle's energy right now.
You have a team show up an hour and a half before. We saw, as we rolled in, getting our booth set up here in Brampton at the VC Showcase Field. Danger Noodle's running 4 lines. Spawn hadn't even started their dynamic warm-up yet. So if you're Spawn, were you perhaps intimidated by the early warm-up, or you're saying, go tire yourselves out over there?
I'm honestly thinking go tire yourselves out. I've already played 2 days of Ultimate. I don't want to show up on my 3rd day of Ultimate warming up for an hour and a half, but to each their own when it comes what works. Lots of players sometimes have individual warm-ups. Danger Noodle instead electing to do a big team warm-up that they have all bought into. Hey, if it works, stick with it. We're seeing a zone look from Spawn here once again.
And to your point, you don't want to change up things from the bracket play Saturday. If you've been doing things Thursday and Friday, keep it normal. You don't want to add new things to your routine. Lee runs on the disc, takes a bump as well. Could have called a foul, elects not to. Kwok thought about the huck, finds Lee in the reset, evades a defender, and then gets stripped of the disc.
Yeah, that's just a defender facing the other way, went to pick up a check as Lee stepped out for that backhand and just collided with his outstretched arm. So pretty fair foul call there. It's a total accident, I would say. Players just making sure they're properly positioned on the field right now.
And as play resets, we want to thank you for tuning into this early morning, depending where you are, quarterfinal stream. Brought to you by I Am Ultimate. And there's a foul called that's going to negate the goal.
Foul called as the player was open on the cone by themselves. I'm going to go with a push-off, but Spawn and Danger Noodle shaking hands over it, so they seem to have worked it out, no problem. Yeah, he was wide open, but maybe he stepped on a foot.
Big attempt, comes up empty there. Trung, one of the big-time players for this squad, and unable to reel that one in. And so Spawn will get a break opportunity, their first of this game.
Spawn falling into a vertical offense. On my brain right now is how will Danger Noodle respond to a break point, but let's not let me get ahead of myself.
Lapierre going to power up a flick that's going to float with many players in the area. Savoy was trying to get there, was going to call a foul on Kwok.
Savoy probably feeling as if as he went up that Kwok's shoulder or arm was in his body, preventing him from elevating properly, or perhaps replaying it in my mind, just pushed him away from the disc, so he had to reach over and try and grab it. Kwok seemed to argue his case that he went straight up while Savoy went around. So the players are discussing it. Our observers there ready to make a call. The ruling is foul. contest, so the disc will go back. The players electing not to use the observers. And we see Batch, our other observer, go and give a blue card to number 6 on Spawn, Alex Downing. And I know what that's for. That is for the late attempt in the zone defense earlier, where he should have pulled up after that player clearly was going to make that catch and then had contact. You see him shaking hands with Lee about it, apologizing, but I think the observers showing Downing there, we know you didn't want to hurt him, but you have to be smarter and safer. That was just too dangerous.
Alan Bagger, Sandra Hansen, your observers for this game. Team Orange, as they like to be called, keeping things moving on this game. And you know, with high stakes, Clay, there could be some calls. We haven't seen too many so far, but observers there just to make sure the game goes great for both teams and they have a good experience. They also have a chance to give each other spirit scores at the end of the game, which is cool as well, a unique part of Ultimate.
Yeah, and that's a really important part, is it allows you as a team to reflect on how the other team performed. And sometimes speaking about the other team's spirit in all aspects of the game allows you to reflect on your own game. So
run through D. Trung gets it back after unable to reel the difficult throw earlier. Huynh just outside the end zone. Lefty backhand to Lee, and they get the hold.
Lee doing a lot of heavy lifting that point, showing his real quick feet. Earlier getting collided with, and then still sticking with his great handler resets, and then also not afraid to get into that end zone and make some quick cuts.
So we've seen both offenses able to fight through turnovers on their points. Yeah. And that's what you want to see if you want to progress further in this tournament going for that championship.
Yeah, just hold so far. I'm still getting ahead of myself a bit here, Theo. I'm really curious to see the mental game of these teams. What happens when they're down? Yeah, I wouldn't argue that Spawn is down right now. The score is 2-1, but the offense is held. This is on serve. It's Spawn's turn to go score. Everything's fine. Offensive line happy to be out there and doing what they do.
And the way teams battle from adversity is it's a good thing to see. You want to know, especially early in the tournament when you get punched in the mouth a little bit, face some of adverse circumstances. Spawn didn't go undefeated in pool play, so they had to fight through, and that could get them pretty battle tested for this moment.
Yeah, there's two ways to think about it. Spawn having lost some games, they've been up, they've been down this tournament. They've had time as a team to talk about how they collect themselves and focus to win games. Danger Noodle, on the other hand, undefeated, thinking we need to keep this energy up. We need to keep our momentum as a team going in every single game in the long term.
Also, Spawn having to play that extra game with the pre-quarter. We'll see if that plays an effect here. Chasse saw our power of flick earlier. That didn't quite work out for Spawn, but their offense is moving right now. Gallant, 5 assists in this tournament so far.
Spawn's offense looking a little cloggy to me, all staying on one side of the field. You can see that all 7 players are on one half of the vertical space of the field that has not been really spread. I'm not sure if they're looking for vertical, as they've pretty spread out in the back, but they've fallen into a vertical and they're stacked now in the end zone.
Great save by Brewster, who's going to go inside shot a little too far. Frampton had a hand on it, but maybe a little too spicy as well.
Perhaps too much spice. It seems she had to reach out pretty quick and never quite got a beat on the disc. Sometimes you're not expecting the velocity behind that pass. So Danger Noodle with a break chance.
They've had one already, unable to convert. Resetting back here, one of the captains and founders of this team. Lem trying to point for someone to come underneath, instead goes for the reset.
Danger Noodle's offense continuing to strike far too deep. There's a call. I didn't see it. Was it a pick? I didn't see what it was.
Looking like it is a pick call, and you can see the handlers, both Lem and I, calling for players to come back. They are too far. I think they want to go for that big shot, but you got to open it up with some underneaths as well and create space.
Looking at Spawn's defense downfield, they're doing a great job bracketing and switching or taking the deeps. There are not there's not a lot of separation happening in the deep lanes as Spawn is all over the switches and taking the most dangerous opportunity for Danger Noodle away.
I'm going to be in the backfield for the squad, quarterbacking a little bit right now. Lamb hits the turf to make that grab, saving possession for this defensive line. High throw looking for Chu. And observer Alan Baggish going to rule it out of bounds, which they can do. Active calls on these in and outs.
Yeah, looks like her back foot just had to take off to get that few extra inches to field that disc and lifted it up out of bounds there. Spawn falling into a vertical as they huck right away.
Looking for Brewster. Brewster slides in for the score.
Not quite. He dropped it when he hit the ground.
I thought he made the score. I saw Spawn players cheering as well. Got me thinking it was a goal.
I heard it too, and then I heard the ooh, but it looks like he could be injured. Maybe winded himself there on contact with the ground, so he's going to take a sub.
You make a sliding layout like that, you think you have it, and then the ground contact often can shift the disc.
They should change that rule. I'd want a few. No, I'm just kidding. But I definitely have to.
That would be a controversial take right there.
Just too many throws I want back, or too many catches I want back, Theo.
Morehouse on the mark now. Scored the first goal for Spawn earlier. Eye picking up for Danger Noodle. Vertical stack set from the Toronto group. Still a Spawn offensive point here. I thought about powering up the flick, gonna go reset instead to lay.
Spawn with looking like, ooh, see, there it is. Now, right, that time, no switch as Danger Noodle came from the front of the stack instead of the back, so they have a way easier separation opportunity.
Dong finds his target. Lou, high release backhand over to Lem for the break. And so a swing of events here. You thought it might have been a Spawn score, but instead it goes the other way, and Danger Noodle is up and continues to have that advantage with the break.
Danger Noodle celebration, not at all surprising, sort of what we were expecting after seeing their intensity and excitement this morning. That break, how will Spawn respond to this? I'm curious. I feel like looking down at Spawn right now, we're seeing them take a knee on the field, staying cool, calm, collected. But I think this is Danger Noodle's opportunity. They want to go on a run. Theo, I could see players as the disc was making its way down the field on the sideline, sprinting faster than those players on the field to get down with the disc as they were so hyped. But Danger Noodle made a big change. Perhaps they didn't know it, but the difference in that second possession was cuts deep were coming from the front of the stack, and if they didn't work, they were coming back into the stack rather than hanging out deep. And at that point, it disallowed Spawn to do any switches or take the last person back and cut off that most dangerous opportunity. So, not sure if Danger Noodle saw that or if handlers were directing traffic, but that change really opened up that point for them.
And for Spawn, they're going to come out with a defensive group here. So their offensive line going to take a break. And we'll see what they dial up on this point. You're seeing that momentum go Danger Noodle side. They have the energy. It seems like that's kind of their MO anyways. That is their squad. See how Spawn responds here. Lapeer going deep. Said it's going to be a reset over to Murray.
So we know that Danger Noodle was pressuring the unders. I'm curious to see if, I mean, Spawn has hucked. We've seen them go for it, and Danger Noodle is playing pretty tight defense. Seems to be a bump and a foul just in the middle of the field there. Just, I think, a change in speed, and when you're defending, you're right on your checks. Hip, they suddenly slow down or change direction. You can't quite stop your momentum and end up backing them. Accidental foul there.
Murray and Chern getting tangled up in the middle of the field, and now play resumes for Spawn. Hawkins has it on that far side, moving it up over to Murray. A lot of cuts in the same direction right now for Spawn. Both all in the underspace there, a couple of players. Gonna have to huck it up, looking for Murray, and Murray's gonna beat his mark to the spot deep. Spawn gets the hold.
Spawn taking opportunities deep, under, and cutting very, very hard. I really felt that line of 7 from Spawn wanted to get that point back for their team with the effort they were putting in to their cuts and how hard they were running there. We know Danger Noodle wanted to put a lot of pressure on them and have Spawn demonstrate that they had a deep game. I think Spawn did that in earlier points. As we saw in that last point, Danger Noodle played real honest defense. It was always on my check's hip. It doesn't matter if they're going under. Doesn't matter if they're striking deep. I am staying with them 100% of the time.
For Danger Noodle, we talked about how they're a first-year squad. They're a new team. They held tryouts. Spawn a little bit different. They have an open club system. They've also had some success at CUCs, albeit a few years ago.
That's right. I believe that when you have that experience at CUCs coming in, sometimes it's easier to go down and deal with making a game plan and everything versus Danger Noodle that's probably just going to have to ride the wave of intensity they got going. Spawn coming third in 2011. Yeah, and, so they've been to the show before, you could say. They've been to semis. They've come away with a medal. But certainly Danger Noodle's intensity, they're here to play.
Standard offensive line here for Danger Noodle. We know Spawn has a couple different zone looks that they're going to put out on this Toronto side. Lee's doing a lot of heavy lifting. Scissors a flick in to Gia.
Spawn's zone, well, they're locking down now. When Danger Noodle moves that disc across the field fast, Spawn has struggled to get a mark on and keep up with them. But Danger Noodle, seemingly once they get it to the sideline, allowing Spawn to set up before they force them to move back across the field.
They have a 3-handler set with Lamb, Lee, and Huynh, and really spread out. Trying to get that movement going, but now into the end zone, now a little bit out of it.
Spawn downfield has a player standing on the brick mark.
Little hammer over to Ye. Gets it under control. Sees an open receiver in Gia. Lapierre pinching right in, and Gia going with the timeout. And Clay, timeouts are a hot topic in Ultimate, so I'm going to let you answer this question. I have my own opinions. I'll let you answer.
Oh, okay.
What do you think about that timeout call? With Gia having the disc, Lapierre was further back. A Danger Noodle player also kind of a teammate to the left of Gia. What do you think about the call? You like the call, or you want to see them play on?
I like the call. That was a really long throw. Spawn's zone, the deep, did not respect that receiver sitting in the backfield who had 20, 30 yards of free space there. And Danger Noodle showing us that they can make those throws. That was a snappy throw. It was pretty quick. It did loft in the air, but it got down the field quick. And suddenly, when you're on offense, you turn around, you look around, and you say, okay, I've got one person 10 yards away from me, 5 of my other teammates basically on the other side of the field. I have one option, and if that option doesn't work, I'm going to find myself in a really high stall count. I don't want that pressure. Why not just use a timeout, alleviate, set up a plan where basically in our end zone set that everybody does at practice, right?
You hope.
You're parallel with the brick mark. This is just the standard drill, akin to the 2-minute drill in football that Ultimate does. So this is where you want to be. But Spawn here, setting up in a zone. Interesting.
The timeout does allow you to set those things up. Savoy on the mark, a very tall mark on Gia. Saw Lapierre, the deep for Spawn, pinching in early. See if they decide to stay in the zone set here. Lee just over midfield for Danger Noodle.
They do keep the zone set. Danger Noodle, I just want to tell you to move the disc quicker. And unfortunately that drop, thinking about the next pass before totally stopping the rotation.
Lapierre going deep right away. Bobbled and caught for the score. Spawn breaks back.
So with that break back, we are back on serve. Spawn really needed that. Looking at Spawn now, we're seeing a lot more energy come out of Spawn. A fun celebration. I like this. I'll take that over a spike any day personally. And Danger Noodle, looking at Danger Noodle now. High fives all around, but it's a little bit quiet. right? A team that hasn't lost any games. How do they respond to adversity? Well, they're keeping their heads up. Spawn definitely with a little bit of an energy suck with that break and just quieting Danger Noodle down a bit. But Danger Noodle's seeming unfazed, all coming together in the middle field. They're going to put their O-line out there, and O-line loves to get out there and do their job.
We see a few of the D-line players for Spawn playing multiple points in a row. I see Downing. I see Lapierre back out there. O'Neal, who just caught the goal. Savoy. So all 4 male matching players deciding to stay on the field for Spawn. So we'll see how that plays out in terms of the mileage they're going to get.
Yeah, I've seen some interesting philosophies around this. As a lot of teams standard in Ultimate, you have your offensive line, your defensive line, and depending what you're starting on, that's the line you put out. But I've seen other teams in Ultimate try and do different things. We've heard about an downwind lines rather, yesterday.
Yesterday, yep.
Some teams, we have a line and they're going to play 2 points in a row, no matter what it is, before the next line comes on for 2 points in a row. Sometimes to keep that energy up and keep their players warm and focused. So I believe I would call the hot take that those players would be off next point.
Galabois on the mark here. Has an interesting story, being a former libero for UNB, so a little varsity volleyball experience over to the Frisbee field. On the mark, guarding Lee right now in the zone.
So I find it really interesting watching Danger Noodle's offense right now that there are not more handlers back. There's no one crashing the middle too aggressively, but they do find a hole there. But that gives them the breakout. But I think they could have got that sooner with more handlers.
They are breaking out with Spawn going in person defense, and you want to see them continue to move that disc quickly. Huynh now, center of the field in the red zone set. Finds Lynn. Lynn gets called for a travel by Savoy.
An unfortunate travel there as number 5, Farah Kaneawan, was wide open.
Lamb going to find Kwok instead on the break side. Danger Noodle able to show their resilience. They get the hold after being broken previously.
Yeah, O-line wants to go out there and do their job, and I might roll back my comment a little bit, Theo, of needing to move the disc fast. I would like to see more handlers in that zone, but both in the zone and that set in the red zone there, Danger Noodle showing a lot of patience. Not taking any risks with trying to punch it in too quick or punch it through the zone real quick. Let's just play some, what I love to say, possession ultimate. O-line, you can make 2 throws to score. You can make 1 throw to score. You can make 50 throws to score. If you keep possession, you've done your work. Spawn taking a knee on the field. Lots of coaching happening after every point. I really like to see how all players are coming off the sideline and listening. It seems that Danger Noodle is just calling out their matchups right now. For those uninitiated, if you're joining us, checking out this bracket play for Ultimate, in the mixed division, every 2 points, the gender ratio changes. And this point, with 4 women on the field, usually the ratio with the higher number pulls. And in mixed, it's quite interesting because that often changes the strategy between points depending on what gender ratio have out there, because you can throw different sorts of looks to cover different parts of the field.
Play temporarily stopping, but Spawn getting the disc moving here on offense. Brampton needing a reset, finds Chassé underneath. Chassé moving things forward. Over to Gallant. Gallant resetting. And Spawn in their end zone set now.
Good patience and using the negative space, waiting until you can get a great break shot like that for a big gainer where the defender just can't be there.
We've seen the inside shot already from McMacken. Flipping it just outside the end zone now. Brewster, but there is a foul. Beck running into his defender.
Yeah, no hard feelings there. Just as they were moving, got tangled up, recognizing immediately that while that tangle happens, I on offense did cause it.
Another foul called there. Brewster was resetting, and Zoo trying to go around Brewster there, bumping into him.
Not sure quite what happened. Not quite sure what happened, but Begish coming right in to get in the discussion. Perhaps he's hearing something that's a little bit more ticky-tacky than us, so making sure he's right in there right away to reset.
Brewster going to flick it to the far side, finds his target, and Spawn gets a clean hold themselves.
O-line doing their job, Theo. We're seeing a lot of patience from both teams, especially in their end zone sets, taking their time. Both teams, heads up, all players coming onto the field from both teams to discuss, to high five, to encourage, to listen. Both teams, the entire sideline, super involved in this game.
I've always been a big proponent of this. I initiated part of that with the leadership group I was with for a club team of all the players coming on the field after a point. Especially, you've seen this before, Claire, I'm sure. An O-line getting broken. They're walking, kind of slumped heads down the field, and no one talks to them. It's kind of a lonely feeling for those 7 players walking back, and you want to see the team unified coming together after every point, regardless if you score or not.
Absolutely, and on top of that, there's nothing, as an O-line player myself, when I've been broken, when I'm walking back to that line, I am only looking directly in front of me because I do not want to see any teammates along the sideline looking at their feet, kicking sand, upset with my performance out there. That's just demoralizing. And instead, seeing teams out there supporting their D-line, even of good try, you'll get the next shot at a break, and seeing that support puts you out there and really makes you want to go out there and give it another go.
You mentioned this earlier, but once again, 4 female matching players for the gender ratio right now on this point.
Still seeing a zone look from Spawn. It has seemed to slow things down, but Danger Noodle's patience, the zone's not causing many turnovers. It's making Danger Noodle make more throws, but their patience and the conditions are kind of favorable to play against the zone because you can throw it over top. There's no wind right now to catch those errant throws and push them out of bounds.
They are moving here to that break side. O'Neal with the bid attempt coming up empty here. Quinn pointing out traffic as they stay in the zone. Going with the hammer to Lee. Lee chasing it down, but it's going to be out of bounds.
Yeah, Lee recognizing right away that his feet were out when he caught that. Spawn with a big break chance here. We see them break out real hard on D-line when they have the break chance. That throw too high on the swing.
O'Neal unable to come down with that one. Lapeer kind of poaching off the back, trying to take 2 players. Now going to have to settle on his check as Lamb resets to this close side to Gia. Still a zone look here from Spawn.
Yeah, well, there is some merit to having a zone close to the end zone because the deeper defenders, the deep, the wings, the person in the middle, they all kind of compress together and it creates a lot of traffic. And there's less threats behind the deep. The field becomes, there's just far less room to work with vertically.
Lee was in the deep space, now coming back to reset it, finds Huynh. Couple yards away, another hammer. Finds a very open Sabrina Trung, who celebrates in a little style there for a Danger Noodle clean hold.
Theo, I love that choice. Sometimes there's a lot of hate for upside down throws, hammers, thumbers, scoobers, as players think that they're not high percentage. But against a zone in the red zone like that, where they've put, where the defense has put tons of traffic and bodies in front of the thrower and the conditions, I haven't felt the breeze at all. And you've got a player by themselves on the opposite cone. If you've got that throw, just put a little snap on it and easily fielded, easily caught. So I wonder if Spawn, that's 2 defensive points in a row now where they've held the zone when Danger Noodle has been in their end zone set. So I'm wondering if they're going to keep that or maybe start melting to person defense earlier.
They seemingly are comfortable with that zone look, as you said. Danger Noodle coming out more person defense with Spawn coming out in horizontal. So we'll see what these teams decide to pull out. It's still early. We're going to give you a time check here. Just over 50 minutes left, and the soft cap rules in play for the finals. Hard cap here still in bracket play up to that point.
Yeah, if we get to the hard cap rules, I'll happily explain it. Until then, I know you and I have been discussing our feelings on the different cap rules quite a lot, but well, we'll wait till we get there. For now, we can say that it is a timed half, so it's possible that if we don't reach 8, we may have halftime soon.
That's a good point as well. As Chasse is a reset, but they go underneath instead. Gallant. Similar O-line here for Spawn. McMacken been out for a lot of the points for them as well, who just threw the pass before the pick was called.
Just seeing some honest person defense here from Danger Noodle. Danger Noodle recognizing that we wanted, or they said that they wanted to see if Spawn could huck, and Spawn does. Conditions, they'll win. Very favorable for Hucks too. So just very honest person defense right now.
Good tall cutter matchup there. Dawes on the mark.
Spawn sounding like they're a little disorganized in getting continues, so they opt for the reset.
Chasse calm and collected right now, feathering a pass inside to Frampton. Thought that might have been touched a little bit, but Frampton going to continue to the break side, but there's a receiver open, and it's probably because of a pick.
Probably because of a pick. Very common in vertical. If on offense you don't spread your vertical single file line down the field enough, you will more than likely run behind someone, in front of someone, and cause a pick, which picks are illegal in Ultimate. So you really got to spread that vertical offense.
Gallant catching it under pressure. Dong apologizing, and play is going to continue. No foul called by Gallant. Wanted to keep things moving for the offense. Murray with the sliding grab. Murray going inside shot. Some more catching under pressure from Spawn. They're really showing their resilience on this point. Dealing with a couple of defensive pressure there, and they feather it in.
Yeah, good patience from Spawn. At the same time, I feel they were getting a little rushed. It's hard as points go on and you make pass after pass after pass in the end zone and you're not quite scoring. And for some reason, Theo, that there is no shot clock in Ultimate. But sometimes you're watching.
Should there be?
But sometimes you're watching teams in the end zone, and the urgency and the anxiety seemingly picks up, and they get more desperate the longer they've had it in front of the end zone. And no, you can be there forever. That's allowed. You're only down by 1 point. You're on serve in this game. Take your time, relax. But definitely seeing the anxiety ramping up. Perhaps it's that, falsehood thinking, oh, if we don't score this end zone set quick, we're not going to score it at all.
But you could have a 20-minute point where you're just dishing it back and forth. Potentially, I'm just saying.
You really could.
Brewster getting his 3rd assist, make that 10 assists at least for him on the tournament. So making a big impact and a big handler for this Spawn squad. So now, how does Danger Noodles O-line respond? They had a hold last point with a turnover apiece. They saw the zone right close to the end zone as well.
They've been really patient with zone. I feel bad for saying earlier that I want to change it up because you know what? The patience is working for them. If they stay patient, they've really got nothing to worry about. They go straight into a vertical offense, recognize immediately that it's a zone, and Lee comes back right away as backup so that Danger Noodle can get that big swing off.
Downing and O'Neill, 2 very big wings. Galabois, the mark. Lee finds Kwok as a safety valve on the open side. That's seemingly where Spawn wants to put Danger Noodle right now.
Yeah, we're seeing them force the sideline right away, stopping the straight up. But not really anything active happening on the swings there. Kind of stopping maybe what could be just a parallel throw. But I'd like to see Spawn turning around and looking for the next option so that they can shut it down and put a lot more pressure on this. Because this zone right now, not causing enough pressure on the handlers, and the conditions allowing for hammers like that one.
Kwok finds Ye. Lapierre, second time now, pinching way too close as a deep, and will get punished for it as Trong. Another score, celebrates once again. Gia throwing the assist, and they're going to have to adjust their zone here, Clay, because that's a couple times now the deep's been burned there.
Yeah, the deep's been burned, and I think Spawn they had Danger Noodle in Danger Noodle's end zone, and there was no pressure on the resets. The person with the disc obviously feeling a lot of pressure, but they always had options. Spawn didn't lock them down. They just kind of sauntered behind a little bit. I'm available. All you got to do is throw, break the mark. Not a problem. His teams at Nationals practice throwing past a mark all the time. So, Spawn, you can't hear me right now, but I really, Spawn, want to see you lock down those swings because Danger Noodle is just getting what I'd call free resets right now.
Hawkins was a side mid there. Emily Hawkins playing for Salty at Worlds. Was in a tough position having to deal with the very tall Kwok on the hammer. So that was a good safety valve for them. Huynh has thrown 3 upside down throws now. All 6 successful except for one where Lee was out of bounds. Without the wind, that's something he's going to be able to do just as an elite thrower.
Oh, absolutely. And when a zone defense comes down, you're thinking as an elite thrower, here's how I break it. Here's how I'm going to ruin the zone of the other team because this throw, which I like to practice, I take a lot of guff for from my teammates, but it has a role, it has a place. When nothing's going to ruin it, I can just pitch it out there.
He leads the team in assists, had 15 coming in this game. Slashing across Gallant. Yeah, receiver going deep and McMackin. McMackin waits for it and sees it into the hands. Great shot from Alex Brewster.
Spawn with an excellent response. You really like after a long defensive point where the other team does get a hold to just get back out there on offense and score quick.
For Spawn, that's 3 straight clean holds, so their offense really dialing in. Now you want to see that defense be able to ratchet up some of that pressure you talked about.
Exactly. If they're going to keep that zone, I want to see a lot more aggression in stopping those handlers from getting resets. In this zone right now, they are kind of doing a L shape or a corner shape. They've got one person on the mark forcing the sideline. One person far enough so there's no double team, but directly in front of the thrower to stop any big throws. And then they have their last player on the other corner of the L trying to stop any throws from going side to side on the field. But that person is staring at the thrower. They're not looking at any options. They're not taking anything away. We need to see that person turn around and look for, oh, that person's going to be the reset. They're going to help out the person with the disc. I need to put pressure on that. Perhaps, though, sometimes some teams want a passive zone. They're looking for the 1 or 2 turnovers a game rather than trying to go for it all on every single defensive point. So maybe I don't know Spawn's strategy, but I certainly want to see more aggression in their zone right now.
That's Coach Clayton Howlett for you. As we see Danger Noodle back out here on offense. Still a zone look. Savoy on the mark this time. So they've switched things up where sometimes it's Galabois and sometimes it's somebody else.
See, now we're seeing more aggression on the reset. I like that. While they can still get it off, you're pushing Danger Noodle backwards now. They're not just getting lateral passes that are easy.
Lynn patient, surveying options. Handler's looking very cool, calm, and collected here. Lee on this close sideline. Hawkins remaining in that mid-spawn. There it is. A turnover. Hawkins picking up right away. Finds Savoy. See if Spawn, they gifted a short field. They want to punch this in.
Right at the break mark. We see an upside down throw from Spawn.
Hammer time for the goal. And that's going to get you fired up if you're a Fredericton and New Brunswick product or native or fan there.
Yeah, Spawn saying, hey, we can throw upside down too. That zone, just seemingly reading the continues there. I like to see that more aggression of trying to get in the way of the next throw. And Theo, I believe that was Savoy. He saw, turn on his legs there, and he saw the defensive play, that is, saw the throw coming across to the middle, baited it a little bit, and was able to cut it off. Rather than being passive, more active zone from Spawn. Love to see it.
The aggression leads to the break, and now Danger Noodle perhaps treading on a little bit of dangerous territory. Of course, lots of game left, but they're starting on defense in the second half. So if they go down half 8-6, that could spell a tad of trouble.
Right. Then they'll be pulling, and then they have to get a break. And Spawn showing us that they've been doing a great job holding this game. We also haven't seen Danger Noodle down in this game. It's the first time they're losing. So I'm thinking that intensity that they had earlier, that really positive hot fire they had going is going to have to come out right now, because that's what was carrying them in the momentum early in the game, and things have gotten rather quiet.
Spawn taking a little bit of extra time here. Wondering if they're calling a timeout, and it looks like they have a timeout call, and I'm going to be bold and say that's a great call here, Clay, because you have a chance to take half with a 2-point lead and start on offense.
I agree. 7-6. You're playing a maximum of 2 more points this half. You get at least one timeout per half, so you burning it now, giving your players a rest, talking about the game plan a little bit, maybe talking about, hey, on defense, what just worked? We generated a turnover in our zone, and we hadn't done that before. So what's working? What's helping? So we've just got a few updates from our other mixed fangs. Mixed games. I'm sorry, I should not read and speak at the same time. Our other mixed games, so I am going to say TT is leading Harfang 8-6 right now, and PBHG is leading Red Fox 11-5. So some interesting updates, Theo. I think the TT Harfang game was definitely one that we want to keep our eyes on, as the winner of that game will be facing, I believe, PBHG. So
if PBHG holds on, which we know they're a strong team, they're at Worlds, but that would be a spicy semifinal matchup as well.
Absolutely. And TT was upset by Danger Noodle. So they're definitely hungry to get it back, as they were top seed in their pool coming into the tournament.
4 seed in the pool. Haven't been seeded that high in a few years, so able to enjoy that. But we're once again bested by this Danger Noodle squad that's out here on offense. Traditional D-line here. We see Lapierre now in the mid-mid instead. So they've switched the deep and made some adjustments. You like to see that from the coaching staff?
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing Spawn once again trying to cut off the next throw, or at the very least forcing Danger Noodle to move backwards. But Danger Noodle doing a good job, patience, and taking the short dishes upfield to inch their way. Huge layout block, Theo.
Emma Plant, a former soccer goalie, making things happen, doing a little dive like you would see on the soccer pitch. Savoy around to Lapierre, and this is a great opportunity with a pick call now to stop play temporarily. But what a block. Heads up play from the side mid.
Catching my breath after that one. The zone making things happen.
Lapierre gets absolutely rejected by Lee. What a block. An exciting action here in this mixed quarterfinal.
Spawn falling right back into the same zone defense. I'm even thinking this is sort of poachy person. Maybe perhaps a slough on the open side and aggression on the break side. But once again, look at the deep, Theo. Look at the deep. There's a player in the end zone not being respected. Danger Noodles punished that a few times with some upside-down throws.
Lapierre is in the deep space now because of how they had to transition with that turnover. Lee with the absolute rejection. Savoy can't get there, now falls to the turf. Quinn gonna check on Savoy. Not sure if Savoy can actually catch up, so getting a few extra yards and now moves back.
Yeah. Good spirit by Quinn there. He saw that big layout, and I think he was worried that Savoy was hurt.
Been great spirit from both of these teams so far, as we see Trung very deep in the end zone. At least 10 yards away from the deep in Lapierre. But right now they're going to settle for kind of some handler movement. Lynn now needs something, finds Lamb.
Spawn totally okay with letting Danger Noodle work it up the sideline, but they're giving away the free reset back to the middle. If you're going to give that up line and that's what you want, you have to stop the disc moving back in the other direction.
Seems to be a lot of poaching happening as Quinn, very dangerous with the disc. We've seen upside down throws. We've seen him break the mark at ease here. Needs a reset, finds Lamb. Some patience from Danger Noodle right now as Spawn kind of in a weird muddled defense.
Almost as if not everyone has picked up the check they should, or if they weren't. I'd modify that, and I'd say I don't think Spawn as a unit there was ever sure if they had melted into a person defense or if they were still holding on to their zone. Some players electing to go full honesty, sticking with the check, while others just floating around in the middle trying to stop the next throw, and that always left a little quick dish up the line available for Danger Noodle there as they just hop, skip it in.
And tough to see if you're a Spawn fan in the crowd because that was an absolute rejection, just taking that away. And then you got that short field. Of course, you had to work it around a little bit, dinking and dunking, but you got the point. Right now, Danger Noodle electing not to call a timeout. We saw Spawn do that to try to power and rest up their D-line for this point.
Yeah.
Right now, we'll see if any offensive line players cross over. It looks like not to be the case.
After that big block from Spawn, that big layout block, Lee with what an answer. To step back from his check, see the huck go up, and just absolutely said reject it. Turning around to his team then on the sideline and say, all right, get loud, people. We're going to hold on to this point. I mean, great efforts on defense from both teams.
Spawn still holds the advantage of this game. If they can hold, they will start the second half on offense. And hoping to keep that momentum going right now. Brewster resetting. Chasse been a solid handler, a rock in the backfield for them. Thought might have got the block was Lem, but Gallant able to grab it under pressure.
Good seal by Gallant there.
Brewster finding Murray. Yet to get past half field. They do now, and Lem a couple bids here. And that one going to result in a foul. Both players high five, and Spirit has been very high in this game, and you love to see that in a tight game like this.
You're seeing that defensive grind a little bit where players are getting tangled up. Great layout catch for the reset. Centering back to Chasse, but both teams getting right back up and knowing that this is just intense play right now.
Bids coming everywhere from Danger Noodle. McMackin grabbing it despite the bid from Zoo. Up the line. And Beck going to get on the board. And Spawn takes half.
Huge hold there by Spawn Theo. As you said, as Spawn began the game on defense, they have the privilege of starting the next half on offense. And Danger Noodle, just having been scored on, now have to pull the disc back to Spawn to give Spawn another opportunity to score at the beginning of the second half.
Before we wrap things up for this half, what can Danger Noodle do defensively? Because they've given up 4 straight clean holds to Spawn. So what do they need to change up? I think they need to change up slight things, but let's get it from your perspective.
Hard for me to say exactly what they need to change up. I haven't locked into that yet, but what we haven't seen, and perhaps this is a place to start, do something different. You've done person defense the whole game. You've kept the same force the whole game. Sometimes, as from a coaching and captaining, a player's perspective, you say, okay, I don't know what we do, but if we keep doing the same thing over and over and over, that's certainly not helpful. So
definition of insanity is what I've been told, is to do things over and expecting different results.
So Danger Noodle, throw on a backhand force, throw on a straight up force, throw a zone, just do something a little bit different, and I think that will be really helpful.
Right now, Spawn has the advantage. They're up 8-7 in this mixed quarterfinal.
Good morning. This is Tushar Singh from I Am Ultimate. I'd like to thank our entire production crew here. This is an 8:30 game. We added this last minute, and this was really driven by Theo wanting to do this, and the rest of the production crew basically and commentary crew was basically, yeah, let's do it. So this game, I'd like to thank Theo Wan. I'd like to thank Clayton. I'd like to thank G, who's out and about getting us additional scores and helping with the setup. And we're really excited to be bringing this game to you, this quarterfinal, as we head into a very busy day and what may potentially end up being an even busier day. So stay tuned. We are likely to make an announcement around noon regarding how this day will play out and what games will actually be on this field. So thanks again for tuning in. Thanks again to this crew here who's stayed up late to actually get rosters and everything like that. And Theo's giving me the cutoff symbol, so I'm going to hand it back to all y'all.
Thank you for that, Tushar, and thank you for producing this game. I Am Ultimate giving you this live coverage. Want to thank you for that. Offensive point here for Spawn. Gallant been doing a lot of the underneath cuts for this team. Brewster finds Frampton. Frampton just before midfield.
So, Theo, we were talking about what did Danger Noodle need to do different on defense. We're still seeing the same forehand force person defense. The O-line for Spawn just getting out there and doing their job. Pretty standard, basic thing to play against that sort of defense. I believe there's a push-off foul call.
Chassé kind of running into lay there on the reset, trying to go up line, then backfield, resulting in the foul call.
Chassé playing in the senior division, turning 47 in 3 days and coming off the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships in Ireland, winning bronze, as she was a great addition to the Happy Campers from Victoria. Didn't see her pushing people around in Ireland, though, Theo.
Well, the intensity ratcheting up, perhaps. There's, of course, a lot of stakes on that tournament, getting a bronze medal, hoping for more from that. Jang, big comes up empty, gets up quickly. Not the intended receiver, I don't think, from Gallant, but it works out for them. McLaughlin gets the score.
Not the intended receiver, but things happen. Nothing ever goes according to plan every single time. And good heads up by Spawn in the end zone. All players, I think, saw that throw. Someone was just able to take the initiative first to make that play. Spawn formed in 2011 by Donnie McPhee and has been a mixed club that has had lots of different finishes, finishing third in nationals. 1995 rather. And they had the goal coming into this tournament of finishing in the top 8. So they've certainly done that. They've done that. And once you reach that goal, it's always really exciting to be like, okay, now what? What's our new thing? We're here. So Theo, I bet at the hotel last night, team meeting in a hotel room saying, hey, we got our goal. That's awesome. Take 15 seconds, everybody. Give your best friend a pat on the back. Give your other teammate a pat on the back. And now, what are we going to do next?
Only up from here, as they say. And Danger Noodle had that same philosophy. They came in as a 19 seed, last seed in their pool. They're saying it's only up from here. What do we have to lose? Let's go for it. And when you have teams with that mentality, that can lead to a lot of success.
Well, that mentality got them the 4-0 record coming in and winning their entire pool. So great mentalities by both teams, I think.
Standard O-line from Danger Noodle. And I would say a zone look, but we see Galabois almost taxiing Huynh there, unless they transition now into a zone look, which they do. But taking away the reset on the far side is Galabois.
Yeah, I really like that. It's almost, one could argue, something called a taxi, where you just take one player, you assign one player to play person defense until we see Juan moving out of the handler set. And as soon as he's getting close back in, he's got real heavy person defense. And if he moves out, he's ignored. And the next handler is aggressively taken. Loving that.
Blade throw, Huynh.
Yeah,
Gets
but
it over Hawkins.
oh, excuse me, but Lee able to find Huynh as he realized that he was being taxied left and was able to get open. But a high throw is blocked. Spawn with the break chance.
Hawkins getting in the way again. Doing a great job at the side mid. Galabois getting the underneath cut. Needs an option right now. Turning around looking. Finds Downing, but there is a stall down call. Galabois, I believe, is a younger player to the game, having transitioned from varsity volleyball, as I mentioned. Looks like it is a turnover, high stall. It's going to be tapped in.
Yeah, that tap in on the ground. The universal signal for game back on, everyone. So Danger Noodle coaching their teammates, making sure just everybody's on the same page, both offense and defense. Good spirit there. Knowledge of the rules as well.
Our sports version of play ball that you see there.
That's right.
Lamb. He's going to work it here with Lee as Spawn continuing that zone set. I don't think they're going to go person in this game, Clay. I'm just going to call that out right now. They've really decided to do that. Gia finding some options back to Lee. Lee looking for Huynh and Hawkins getting there. See if there's a call. Excuse me, that was Lynn trying to make the play. Hawkins is going to shoot it. No one really in the area, so Lee will collect the block. Did a great job of actually catching it instead of macking it to a potential Spawn player.
Yeah, absolutely. We see Danger Noodle stretching the field downfield quite a lot again. But the deep playing far more honest this time to not allow any hucks. There seems to be an injury call. I believe that was McLaughlin, who earlier making that D seemed to have had her neck struck a little bit. So she's going to take a sub. I'm sorry, that's number 91, Emily Hawkins. And yeah, she's going to take a break as it seems she tried to continue playing that point, but just couldn't. And when it's your head, Theo, probably the right call to take a sub and make sure everything's okay.
We wish the best for Hawkins as Coach Donnie checking up on the player. Frampton coming back in or coming in as a sub from the offensive line. Some discussion still to be had here.
So sometimes it's tough on an injury call as play should be dead. When there's an injury call, as soon as it possibly can be to know where everybody was. But players on the field able to work it out with the help of our Team Orange.
Team Orange doing a great job. If you don't notice Team Orange, that's a good thing. That means plays continue to move smoothly, and we like that. Huynh needs a reset, finds Lamb. These zones continue to shift and change. I've seen different marks, seen different ways they're playing it, and that's really going to give some dynamism over to this defensive line and make the offense really work here.
Yeah, and Danger Noodle has shown a lot of patience with whatever look they're getting from Spawn to try and play the best patient retention they can. But Spawn now changing things up on Danger Noodle a bit, which is making them rethink and getting less progress upfield. But right now we're seeing that really quick movement from Danger Noodle, and that's where they have really had success this game, but sometimes just seeming unsure of the next step and holding on to the disc, giving that Spawn zone a chance to catch up.
They've done that a few times now where it seems like, yeah, they're slow to quickly move it, perhaps trying to be safe. Trung on that break sideline, zone still intact. Danger Noodle trying to be methodical right now. High throw from Huynh is going to find Lynn for the score. So that was a very patient point, a smooth hold, or excuse me, a hold for Danger Noodle.
Good work by Danger Noodle there. We are talking about how they didn't move the disc as fast and holding it a long time. I would rather, from a coaching perspective, players, if they're not sure where the dangers are in a zone, where the defense is trying to make their plays, of holding on to the disc just a little bit longer to keep that retention and going for the safe shot. So good patience there by Danger Noodle. Spawn's been changing up that zone. Kind of difficult to see what's different as they've just been really small differences like the taxi, like flipping to force the handlers up the line rather than into the backfield. And the Spawn D-line also doing part of their job, or halfway anyway. The whole job, obviously, Theo, would be to get the break. But sometimes D-line, you want to get out there and make the offensive line from the other team work forever and use up those legs so that they're tired when they have to come back on.
With 20 minutes left, that zone's going to help shorten the game, perhaps, for Danger Noodle as they make this comeback effort. A 1-point game. We love this bonus coverage. On the original schedule, Clay, it wasn't planned, so this is great. We thank you, Ultimate Canada, for making it happen. I Am Ultimate. Want to also thank our other sponsors, Discraft, VC, City of Brampton, and the Province of Ontario. Lem coming up empty, and Gallant's going to fire a flick out, looking for McLaughlin. McLaughlin with a two-hand grab over her defender, going up large.
McLaughlin's read timing, that was hers while that disc was still at its apex in the air. She knew exactly where it was going. She knew exactly when she'd have to go vertical. Great read. Juniors basketball player, so perhaps having some experience in posting up, Theo.
Putting her defender on a poster there for the score, and they have that 2-point lead, and that lead continuing, of course, because they're able to get the hold for the first point in the second half. And as Spawn decides to come with this zone, like I mentioned on the previous point right before this one started, you see how quick the Spawn O points are, and then you contrast that with the Danger Noodle O points, much longer.
Yeah, a thought that just occurred, and perhaps I could have considered earlier, is Danger Noodle is a young team. They're formed 2 years ago. They wanted to come to Canadian Nationals. They couldn't in 2020. They couldn't in 2021. They're here for the first time. And it's just a group of friends that were young and hungry and wanted to play. And you know what that means is they are fast. And perhaps Spawn saying, well, this team's really, really athletic. We think they're going to open us up in the lanes if we go person defense. Maybe zone is the strategy to lock them down. A very Masters-esque strategy, Theo.
Both of us in the booth being Masters players ourselves, we know what that's like. As Spawn coming out in person defense, it's looking like, changing things up.
Yeah, thank you, Spawn, for making me look silly. But there's a call. Observers are sorting this out. I will say with Team Orange, we haven't noticed them a lot in this game, but what I've noticed throughout the whole tournament, they're getting out there and not only helping with the calls, but also helping with the rules. If the players get confused, they're out there immediately. I am there they're there as observers to say, actually, this is the rule. Can you work out the call now? And the players do. I really like that passive help that they're offering the players this tournament.
Trung marked by Leslie. As they go in person defense, interesting choice that they decide to change it late into the game. Looking for Ye. Quinn's going to get that open shot, and perhaps Spawn rethinking a zone look potentially.
We've seen the zone points that Spawn has put on have lasted a lot longer than that point. They've kept the O-line moving. The O-line has had to work very, very hard. There, Theo, I mean, we know they're working hard. That is not the hardest they have had to work. That was a far easier offensive point for Danger Noodle. Danger Noodle seeming that they have the person matchup, the person defense matchup locked in. They're fast. They're athletic. They have good throws. That's what they want. If I'm Spawn, I'm thinking we should go right back to zone. We took their eyes off of it for a second. But on the other side of that coin is sometimes you have to make a team forget about the defensive set you have. If you, like we've been talking about Danger Noodle, if you don't change up the defense once in a while, the other team gets quite used to it and then just sort of gets automatic in the way they break through your defense. So perhaps Spawn saying, we got to shuffle things up a bit, and perhaps now after that really quick offensive point by Danger Noodle, might say next time they're on defense that they need to fall in the zone. But this point will be an offensive point for Spawn. A big hold opportunity as time is ticking away, Theo.
Time is ticking a tick here. 15 minutes left or less now. D-line coming out for the Toronto side in the dark jerseys. We thank you for tuning in to I Am Ultimate's coverage. We got mixed division quarterfinal play and more action coming for you.
A new defensive look from Danger Noodle. Interesting, this stage in the game.
Gallant high throw. Brewster going to get down with it.
Well,
Gallant
I'm really
Brewster going back and forth there.
Excuse me, Theo. I'm just really glad Danger Noodle change it up, and you see, I'm excited. You change up your defense. You throw the offense off their game. You get results.
Chu resetting with Jang. Danger Noodle going to be patient here on this defensive point. Jang looking deep. Boxing out is Gallant, taking the angle in the spot first.
Great defense by Gallant there, turning on the turbo to make sure he gets in contention for that pass and then completely sealing his check.
Good bid attempt, but Chase able to reel that disc in. Want to see Spawn get a little flow going in that zone. Gallant has it.
Hearing a melt call from Danger Noodle on the sideline. The players on the field not hearing it right away. Sometimes difficult when there's such an active presence from both teams on the sideline to hear that call.
McLaughlin very open on that poach, finding Beck. Chase now on the reset as Spawn knocking on the door now in the red zone. Inside shot. Gallant finds Brewster, and Gallant 3 straight assists for the Spawn group.
Huge hold by Spawn to get that disc back after Danger Noodle changed up their defense and seemed like they caught Spawn on their back feet a little bit. For Gallant particularly to turn it around like that. Huge hold for Spawn. And I'm hearing Theo right now. It's quite loud. I got my headphones on here, but I can still hear Danger Noodle. Let's keep fighting. Let's stay in it. Heads are up. The energy is high. Players still all meeting together in the field. Danger Noodle not at all feeling like they're out of this. So this is going to come down all the way to time. Neither team, specifically Danger Noodle, who's out right now, giving up. So I'm curious to see if Spawn elects to go back to zone. We saw them go person defense 2 points ago. It did not work out, to say the least, as Danger Noodle just has that athleticism. So we'll see if Spawn flows back into their zone here.
It's been exciting action here in this quarterfinal. If you want more, you're going to get it. 10:30 a.m. What many experts in the field thought was going to be the finals matchup, you're going to get in semis, Quebec Iris and Ottawa Stella. So get excited for that, 10:30 Eastern, coming at you on the same YouTube channel. Zone look back again for Spawn. They heard us in the booth.
Yeah, not really surprised. I think Spawn is saying to themselves, we want to extend the offensive points for Danger Noodle as much as we can. We have gotten breaks off our zone, but also we just make them take far more time to score. And with time ticking away strategically, that's the best plan right now, I would say.
See Savoy in the midfield. No one really pressuring him. He's kind of just jogging out there. Not really having anyone take his attention right now. Hawkins still manning that side mid position, doing a great job all game. Cornea one on this close sideline.
Spawn right now, if I'm looking at the zone, seeing them elect to go more for the upfield passes, letting the resets come off. But earlier that wasn't so great as Danger Noodle just moved the disc very quickly. But now with the disc on the force side, they go more person defense on the first reset, making the throwing job a little bit more difficult. A big hop opens up to a completely disrespected or perhaps forgotten about deep striker.
Sabrina Trung, that's a 3rd goal for her, and we've seen Dan Huynh put the team on his back right now. 5 assists for this game.
Theo, I want to put my coach hat on right now and talk a little bit of smack about leaving that deep player so
it's happened multiple
open.
times. It's not one time. It's been at least 3 times, I feel like, on my count.
Yeah, it's nationals. Everybody on the field has seen a zone before. Everybody can catch. And when you got the disc in a thrower's hands, if you're the deep, get back there. I love it having the disc, seeing that opportunity when I know I can boost it, seeing someone standing in the back, metaphorically. I think I can throw that far.
Huynh brings a lot of experience over, has played a season with Toronto GOAT as well, and with Toronto's second team Grand Trunk. A lot of these players having done so as well. Justin Lem, Jason Lee being a couple of them. So they bring that experience over, and a couple of the female matching players as well, playing for the second squad in Toronto, Toxics. Been rebranded this year to Incognito. We had a chance to stream their quarterfinal, taking on Cube. Cube getting the victory here and moving on to the semifinals, taking on Venus later today.
All right, Danger Noodle throwing a zone defense again, thinking that they need some different looks. They're only down a point, so this isn't such a bad idea as the clock here, not such a problem. And earlier when they were going, oh no.
Gallant blows a tire. Hear the oh no call from Clay, but Gallant blows a tire trying to make a play. Dawes coming from the back, jumping early. And if you're a Danger Noodle fan in the crowd, this is what you want, a break opportunity. You got your D-line out there. Dong receiving the pass from I. Over to Lem. Can this D-line convert here and tie up this contest?
Oh, but that throw too far. There was a pick call downfield, but it doesn't matter as it didn't affect the play. Theo taking my tagline. Gallant blowing a tire. Spawn lucky to get this one back as
Gallant's going to hammer it over to Brewster. Brewster finds his receiver. Great snag, McLaughlin. And they've averted danger twice now. And we're having chances to be broken, but able to fight back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that energy we were feeling at the beginning of the game, Theo, has definitely returned. There was a lull as the teams traded, and then with Danger Noodle going down, it got quiet. But Danger Noodle within 2 points. They've got an offensive line, so if the offensive holds, they're only in one, and there on the D point, we saw that urgency, that excitement from this young team. I can definitely feel it all the way up here in the booth, the energy that Danger Noodle has.
Clay looking behind us, we saw PBHG. Their game has been done for many minutes now, but PBHG taking the victory over Red Fox, so the number 2 seed overall, a Worlds qualifier, moving on. Perhaps on a crash course with fellow Worlds qualifier Union, but we have to see the games and let that play out in the mixed division.
Absolutely. PBHG coming into the tournament with the attitude of, we're not going to try to win, we are going to win. So they are so far got themselves into semi, 2 games to go to see if they will fulfill their goal.
Standard defensive line, Hawkins out there, Plant, Galabois, Savoy, O'Neill, Lapierre, Downing. It's the same 7. A lot of them that have been riding. Shorter roster.
Yeah, perhaps they know the zone's working. They're keeping those same 7 as against this young athletic team. They need to have a system that's proving to be effective.
Zone still on there with O'Neill, the very large cutter on the mark, spinning around, causing some chaos. Gia just before midfield for Danger Noodle.
Saw a high stall throw there, but Danger Noodle not afraid to take negative space and a bit of a loss to keep retention of the disc, and then work it right back up where the disc was.
Often players are afraid to lose yards, or younger players, but it's okay because you get it back in a throw or two.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. You have to be willing to do that if you want to keep the disc in your team's hands.
Just Gia blading it to Nelson Ye, and this is going to be called out of bounds. So now if you're Spawn, a chance to take a real stranglehold late in this game to go up 3.
Yeah, back foot landing on the line, and ultimate the line is out. So if that's where your first point of contact is, you are out of bounds. Spawn calling a timeout on the line. Let's talk about timeouts, Theo. I like this.
I love the call. I love the call. So for the audience at home, Clay and I think, are of the same mind. So unfortunately, we're not going to disagree for you, but we're in line. At least I'm going to say my opinion, Clay, is you have the timeouts. It's a hard cap game. It's within the rules, and we know that Danger Noodle used that strategy similarly earlier in this tournament, and it's a viable strategy because it's within the rules.
Not only that, we've been watching this game. Danger Noodle seeming to have a lot more stamina, and a lot more speed than Spawn right now. So Spawn's probably thinking, not only can we eat up a little bit of the clock here, but we can also get some energy back. Theo, you mentioned it was those same 7 players. They just got a big turnover here and a huge opportunity for a break that could seal the deal in this game for them. So this timeout, actually, you're setting up and saying, we want to eat up the clock, we want to catch our breath, but getting this point is actually super important in taking this game away.
We were tongue-in-cheek going with the what people like to call the time waster technique, but I don't think actually Spawn was doing that truthfully. I believe they're actually setting up a play and trying to punch us in to get that 13-10 lead. And with less than 5 minutes left, that's going to be probably a good night.
I think the time waster was just a happy bonus on that timeout. It was the full meal deal in getting everything you want out of that timeout.
Lapierre getting some shooter calls. We've seen him huck it. And it's a first row turnover. So you know the story changes very quickly here in this mixed quarterfinal. Still an offensive point. They're going person defense. Inside shot to Ye. But there's a pick. Once again, a free player in Ye. He's been doing a great job. Never toured before, making a big impact on this offensive line.
Never toured before. You really like to see players that are here for the first time or touring first to make such a big impact in the game, but they're an unfortunate miscue throwing right into the arms of a defender.
Savoy and Downing going give and go, leaving Lee out to dry a little bit. And this is dangerous territory. Savoy looking for Lapierre. Can he make the play? Coming down with it with two hands over two Danger Noodle defenders.
So number
there is
six,
a call.
Yeah, number 6 on Danger Noodle. That's Nelson Ye is arguing that he had it first. We saw many pairs of hands all up on the disc at the same time. Lapierre's momentum definitely carrying him down to the ground with the disc. Tie usually goes to offense, but we are not sure who had it first or if there was a tie.
This is going to be a big call, Clay. Right now, I'm happy I'm up here in the booth and not an observer here in Sandra Hansen. This is a big call.
What's interesting, too, if you go to the observer on this, you either get the goal, as spawn, you either get the goal or it's Danger Noodle's disc. If you just contest it, the disc goes back and you keep retention. So not going to the observer there probably Spawn's best option strategically. If they had gone to the observer and lost that call, turnover. Instead, it's a contest, and when it's a contest without observer input, then the disc goes back to the thrower. So Spawn gets to hold on to the disc with 3 minutes left in the game.
They also have another timeout, Clay, so they could use that if they decide to. If the offense gets stagnant on this defensive line point, this is essentially the game, I believe, for both teams. A 3-point lead this late in the game is going to be seal the deal for Danger Noodle's championship hopes. I think Spawn feels that as well. Downing finds a receiver there, and just a throw over Lamb hits the turf. Galabois, and now Danger Noodle chance to bring the lead down to 1. Lee at midfield has Ye going deep, but going to play safe for now.
Probably a good call. You're down 2 right now. If you can bring it back to within 1, the cap won't matter. And thinking about keeping his feet in, I believe that was Ye who had to lay out. But unfortunately, when you're thinking about all those things at once, I have to lay out, outstretch, get both my hands on it, stop rotation, keep my toes in. A lot to think about at once, and sometimes it doesn't all add up to the sum total.
Interesting, too, that Lapierre had stopped defending as well, assuming it was going to go out of bounds. Huynh, can he make a play? He does, perhaps saving their hopes. Danger Noodle needing to cash in on this offensive point, getting many opportunities.
Spawn just needs to keep their composure on offense and just dump and swing. They seem to be getting high stall counts or just throwing the disc immediately on where they want a quick give go and not connecting.
Went over to Lamb just on the end zone line. Feed it in for the score, so they do get the hold. There was a long point. Kerniawan makes it a 1-point game. What a finish. They need a break. Need this break specifically, I've been told by our producer, or else it's good night. Or good morning, I'm not sure. Good night or good morning there.
So, Theo, I think we can revisit our cap rule discussion from earlier.
Yes, we can.
This point has started. So if the hard cap goes on this point, if we hear the horn and to finish this time slot, the rule is once the horn goes, you finish the point and the game is over. However, this is a 1-point game. If Danger Noodle scores this point, they tie the game. If the horn goes off during this point, since it's a tie, we'll play one more point, universe point as we call it. Next point wins in that case, the tiebreaker. If Spawn can get a hold and the cap goes on during this point, Danger Noodle will be down 2 and will not be allowed to play another point as the game will be over. So whether Spawn can score right now quickly or slowly, when we'll hear the horn, all that different scenarios can play out in these few short seconds here.
Offensive point for Spawn, as you mentioned. Zone look here from Danger Noodle. Must break if you're the Toronto side. Gallant, same offensive line out here for Spawn, the New Brunswick outfit. Gallant's been great for this game and throughout this tournament for Spawn, and has a lot of big throws for them.
Absolutely. A lot of big plays, too, earlier, making a huge defensive box out to keep the hold for Spawn.
Being patient right now, and that's what you want to see in a must-score point for both teams.
So the cap has gone on. So where we will be, if Spawn scores this point, the game will be over as they'll finish this point, and there will be a 2-point deficit. Therefore, the next point, if it was played, would not matter. However, if Danger Noodle scores this point, we will be going to Universe.
McLaughlin having the disc. Has it open Beck across the field, but instead goes to Gallant, who then finds the aforementioned Beck on the doorstep of a semifinals berth as they move it backwards.
Spawn being patient, using the negative space. This is not the time to rush and punch it in. Chassé looking for options.
Chassé finds Beck, who has to go down low to make that grab. Tensions are high here in this mixed quarterfinal matchup. Gallant, dangerous with the disc, fakes the hammer. Needs an option, gets a reset. Over to Brewster. Brewster now inside shot, hits the turf. Danger Noodle an opportunity to break to force Universe point.
Now there's a call downfield. I don't think it's going to bring the disc back. I believe a Danger Noodle player is calling injury.
Janice Liu coming off the field. Coming in her place is O-line handler Jen Lamb. So Jen Lamb coming off, and we see Savoy also coming on for Joe Beck.
On injury calls in Ultimate, your team, if they do not call the injury, are able to match a sub. So if you sub one player on an injury as the team with the injured player, then the other team may sub one person. We believe there were 2 injury calls, so we're seeing 2 subs, in fact, for both teams.
Dan Huynh coming in for Danger Noodle for Justin Lamb, and Chassé coming off for Molly Galabois. So little defense offense sub here. We'd like to see that. Spawn putting a couple defensive line stalwarts on the field, and conversely, Danger Noodle putting on a couple O-line handlers in Lamb and Huynh. Huynh having a great game, and a timeout called by Jiang, and a smart call here.
Yeah, at this point, when hard cap is on, timeouts are still permitted. The hard cap, well, the cap technically is not on as it went during this point and officially begins the next point, but timeout still permitted. A smart timeout by Danger Noodle. The time at this point does not matter as the game in one. Either Spawn will win on this point or Danger Noodle will have to score twice to win the game, as they will force Universe on this point if they get this offensive possession and score. A good time after you just had a huge goal line stand to set up a plan. Perhaps discuss how you will handle the zone that we have seen so much from Spawn this game, and remind your teammates what has been working against it.
Spirits high from both teams here, as of course, why wouldn't it be? It's mixed quarterfinal action. The winner moves on to the semifinal at 12:30. So with the tournament format, Clay, you do get that full time slot break, which is really needed, I think, for both teams. They've gone really hard throughout this game.
Yeah, we've seen lots of layouts. We've seen some collisions. We've seen some tangles, but both teams, every single time, getting right back up, talking about it, high-fiving or shaking hands. You can just tell how much both teams want this. And at the same time, respecting the want of their opponent, respecting that intensity, and just trying to edge the other out. So for the first time, I think, in the midfield, we're seeing a vertical offense from Danger Noodle and the zone look from Spawn.
Dangerous times here for the Toronto group as they're in the back of their end zone. Going to have to work it out. Jason Lynn is free in the middle of the field. They do find him.
Yeah, Savoy split between a short and deep option there. Good job by Danger Noodle to set up that dilemma.
Lamb going to settle things down potentially. Moving it over to Jang now, just outside the end zone for a break and a tie game. And they do just that. Jocelyn Lee gets the score.
You love to see it if you're an Ultimate fan. You hate to see it if you're Spawn, but you love to see it if you're an Ultimate fan. We have a universe point alert here, Theo. This is what we love to see in Ultimate. This is what we love to broadcast. I will attempt to control myself, keep my voice low, Theo. Don't want to yell into the fans' ears right now, but loving this excitement.
I'm thinking the fans are yelling into their own computers or TVs or however they're watching right now. It's universe point. We got a universe point alert, and I'm always interested. I know this is a common trope here in Ultimate, but I'm always interested to see who comes out on universe point. We'll see if offensive players cross over. For Danger Noodle on defense, I see Dan Huynh crossing over, Jess Gia, Jen Lamb, Jason Lee, Janice Liu, D-line players out there, Donald Kwok as well, crossing over from the O-line. So a lot of O-line players out there. For Spawn, I'm going to expect their traditional offensive line.
Yeah, you put your top 7 out right now. You want to get into semis, have a chance at a medal. This is the point. You don't do anything that's out of the ordinary for a team right now. You put down your best 7 on the line and do the best you can. Like as we were saying, timeouts are permitted when hard cap is on. It seems that Spawn has taken a timeout. Just like Danger Noodle, I would say setting up the plan to get this goal.
Clay, how high do you think the heart rates of both teams are right now? This is universe point for the semifinals of a national championship event.
It's probably just about the same as mine right now, Theo. Oh, maybe that's unfair. I'll say quite higher. They've been working real hard. A lot of athletic plays this game, and couple that with, getting the cardio going and then the excitement we're feeling, the ups and downs of this game and the momentum shifts. Pretty huge.
Both teams high-fiving on the sideline as well, showing the great spirit we've seen throughout this game, and one of the most spirited games I've seen in a while. Universe point here. Zone look from Danger Noodle.
Yeah, that's right. Zone look from Danger Noodle. They've been having success with changing the defense up. Time's not a factor anymore. Gallant into the middle.
Gallant was free. Going to find Murray. Has Frampton poached. Instead, going to hold on the disc for a little bit before resetting. Murray can't throw the disc because there's a pick call downfield.
Spawn right on the doorstep here. About 5 yards in front of that brick mark, 10 yards outside of the end zone. Going to have to be a huge goal line stand from Danger Noodle.
Brewster has the disc knocked away by Lou. But it's going to be uncontested. Going to keep the disc with the smart handler. Gallant bursting out of the stack. Spawn less than 10 yards away from a semifinals berth. High stall count, inside shot. Going around and just too far for the receiver.
Danger Noodle hype. The noise right now. Danger Noodle just jumping up and down on the sideline, seeing that opportunity come in universe. Theo, I believe they had a few universe wins earlier in the tournament. They've been here before. Can they keep it going?
Injury called, though, on the field. That's Janice Liu again. Had called an injury previously. Farah Kerniawan going to come in her stead.
Theo, if you look around right now, I am just watching a bunch of teams sticking their noses through the fence, up against it, watching this game. Everybody sees the excitement right now. PBHG at the other end of the field, collecting some intel, perhaps seeing who they will face at 12:30 today. Chassé coming off and taking us up. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I get that bracket wrong?
The winner of this game will play the winner of Union Crash. We'll get you the score update when we can. But you're right that PBHG is in the semifinal. That is correct. Gallant on the mark of Huynh. Huynh is going to be a shooter on the side. So you got to be ready if you're Spawn. Bumping up the line is Lamb. This is a break opportunity and universe point. Semifinals berth on the line. Kwok, one-hand snag. Had a receiver going deep. Going to holster instead, finding Lee.
You want everything to be 100% right now. If you don't like that huck look, holster it immediately. Why risk it?
Lee finds a free Lee as well. Out of the stack, Jocelyn Lee going around back to Jason Lee.
Jason using his quick feet to make a lot of things happen in the backfield.
Gia faking the hammer, had Kwok open temporarily. Resetting over to Huynh. Huynh inside shot. Jocelyn Lee with the grab. Inside shot to Kwok. Waiting for the ruling, it's in, and the 19 seed, Danger Noodle from Toronto, is headed to the semifinals.
Absolutely amazing. To come back from 2 points down with hard cap bomb to force universe point and win on a break. We see the hype and the energy more so than we saw at the beginning of the game. I'm sure they can't believe it. Theo, thank you for correcting me on who they would face. And now I am excited because I wonder if teams entering the semifinal, whether it's Crash or Union, was thinking they might face an undefeated team and a team that has just come out of nowhere on the ultimate scene. Perhaps if you're local, you knew what they were capable of, but Danger Noodle making an absolute name for themselves right now. I need to take a few deep breaths, Theo. This is a pretty incredible story to watch for this team.
We're going to take a few breaths here in the booth, of course. We hope you are as well. We got another exciting matchup for you. Women's semifinal action. Quebec Iris, the #1 seed, taking on the #2 seed, Ottawa Stella. We'll see you in about 24 minutes for that one.